Hey guys, Brie here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if you're returning, then thank you so much for being here. Today I'm really excited because I'm going to be refreshing my henna. I feel like I've kind of neglected my hair over the last couple of months and it definitely has needed a little TLC. Also, I've rounded up some of the top questions I get whenever I do my henna, and I thought I would sit down and answer them today so that you all have all my answers. So without further ado, let's get into it. Right now, I've really been feeling like that beautiful coppery hair color, so I wanted to just use the copper today. So as usual, I just heat up my kettle of water and then I pour that into my henna mixture gradually, mixing it as I go, making sure I'm getting that kind of really creamy consistency so that it's really easy to apply. Once it's all mixed up, you do want to make sure that the henna reaches the temperature that's noted on the sheet provided in the henna box. It's just make sure that the henna is activated, and at that point it's ready to apply. Though you do want to let it cool down a little bit because, let's be real, that's a pretty hot temperature and you don't want that on your head just yet. So I let mine cool down for a little bit and then I apply it. Applying the henna is really easy. So how I do it is I first just start by sectioning my hair. So usually I section my hair in either 2 or 4 parts depending on how lazy I am. And I go in with the henna starting kind of at the root and then applying it all over the hair. And then I go in with the henna just applying it all over that section of hair, really making sure that I saturate it super well and push it into the roots, everything like that, so that I'm really coating my hair very well. So once the henna is all applied, I just make sure that my hair is all stuck up on the top of my head, and then I apply my little plastic hair cap just to make sure that henna doesn't move around or get anywhere else because it will stain. I've mentioned this in other videos, but when you're applying the henna, you do really want to make sure that you're wearing something that you don't mind gets a little messy. I typically wear this robe. It's like my designated henna robe, and as you can see, it's gotten a little stained. That's totally okay though, because that's what this robe is for. So depending on the color of henna that you choose to use on your hair, you might need to leave your henna in for longer or shorter, but that's all outlined on the sheet that they provide in your henna hair dye kit. So for the color I'm doing, it has to stay in for 2 hours total, which is no problem for me. I simply just put it in, put my plastic cap on, put my heat cap on top, and then I watch a movie or I do some work. So Khadi actually recommends that you don't use any shampoo or conditioner to rinse out your henna. I find this a little bit tough, so I do use conditioner to rinse out my henna. I'll start by just trying to get as much of the henna out as possible from my hair with just water, but then at a certain point I use conditioner just to get out the rest so that my hair isn't gritty or it doesn't have any leftover henna in it afterwards. I believe part of the reason that it's recommended to just use water and not use any shampoo or conditioner is because you really want the henna to have time to adhere to your hair so that the color is really rich and really beautiful. But I've used conditioner every time I've used henna to rinse it out, and I don't find that it makes my hair look any less rich or vibrant. I think the color still looks really beautiful, and it just makes it a little easier to wash out. So that's personally what I do. The reason I use the heat cap when I apply my henna is because heat keeps the henna active, which allows it to really work its magic on your hair. So I heat my heat cap in the microwave for about a minute and then I'll apply that. And then I want to say that every like 30 minutes I go ahead and I heat it up again and just apply that again just to keep that henna really active, really warm on my head. When you're applying the henna, you do have the option of wearing gloves. I tend to not wear gloves and I risk my hands turning a little bit orange for like 24 hours. I personally just don't like to use gloves because I find it harder to get the henna into all of the parts of my hair that I want it to get into. I find it a little bit more cumbersome, so I like to just use my hands to apply the henna, but if you don't want stained hands, wear the gloves for sure. Okay, and then once my hair is all dried and all styled, here is the final result. So this is actually about 24 hours after I've done my henna. I find that that's when the henna has really fully developed on your hair and really shows the color fully. And I honestly love this color so much. I love the classic red mixed with the copper, and I love the classic red on its own as well, but I was really feeling like more of a coppery tone on my hair, and I love it. Okay, so now I wanted to answer some of the questions that I get most often. So let's dive into my most frequently asked questions about henna. So the first question is, can it be used on blonde hair? So yes, on the Khadi Beauty website, each color of henna that they have has a hair color guide. So you can actually see, you know, what your starting point would be versus what your results could be if you use that particular color. Now, of course, that's just kind of like a, you know, loose prediction of what your color will look like, but it does give a pretty accurate idea, I would say, of what the color end result will be. Is it permanent? So henna is a permanent hair dye. It does leave a permanent pigment on your hair. So you do want to make sure that you are choosing a color that you want to stick with for a while. It doesn't mean that you can't ever change the color in the future, but you want to think of it like a permanent dye. Can you leave it on overnight? I've never used it overnight, but I do know people who have and have found that to be totally fine on their hair. I personally just always leave it on for the recommended amount of time, and I've never really wanted to leave it on overnight because I do worry about it staining my bedding. I really don't want to have copper sheets, so I really just stick to the recommended 2 hours and then I rinse it out. Is it easy to use? Yes, I would say that henna is really easy to use. I find it really easy to use, but I will also say that there's a bit of a learning curve. You definitely want to, you know, make sure that your space is prepared for you to do henna the very first time you try it out, because it might be a little bit messy. The first time I used henna, I got like henna everywhere. It was all over my sink, it was all over my floor, and I was really happy that I laid down newspaper, because henna can stain, especially, you know, if you have carpet or if it gets on like your shower curtain, something like that. You do want to make sure that you're protecting and kind of safeguarding those things. I do feel like it's a really easy process, especially this henna, because you're just using a powder and water combination. You're applying it to your hair, you're letting it sit, and that's really it. So it is quite easy. How long do you need to leave the henna in for? So the amount of time you leave your henna in for all depends on the color you're using. So for the copper color that I used today, that's 2 hours, but this is all outlined on the color sheet that's provided in your henna hair color kit. So you just want to reference that and make sure that you're using that as your timeline. Does the color last? So this is a question I get a lot because I do have red hair, and if you've ever thought of dyeing your hair red and done a little bit of research into it, you know that red hair tends to be, you know, the fastest to fade. It's the highest maintenance. I personally don't find that to be the case with henna. It lasts beautifully on my hair. I actually haven't done my hair since, I mean, earlier this summer, and as you can see in my before photo, it was still quite red. So I really do feel for, you know, redheads who want to maintain a vibrant red, henna is a great option. It really does last and look vibrant on your hair for a very long time, and especially as you continue to use the henna. So the first few times I used henna, it kind of washed out faster, as we're now, because I have layers of henna on my hair, it's much more vibrant for much longer. Next question is, can I bleach and dye my hair following using henna? I would say you wouldn't want to immediately bleach or dye your hair. This is a permanent color, so it's hard to lift. You want to wait till it really fades before you bleach or dye your hair a different color, just because henna does coat the hair, so that coat is not easily lifted off. It will take a lot to lift that off, so you really do want to let your hair fade before you decide to change your hair color or bleach it or do anything to it. The other thing you really want to be aware of when you're using henna are metallic salts. So you want to find a henna hair care product that does not have any metallic salts in it. When you hear of henna horror stories of like people's hair melting off or breaking off when they bleach it, that sort of stuff, that tends to be because the henna that they used had metallic salts. The Khadi Beauty henna doesn't, so if I did ever choose to bleach or dye my hair in the future, I would just simply wait for this to fade. I would probably wait a couple of months and then I would do whatever I wanted to do. With that being said, of course, this is a permanent color, so just like lifting your hair from any other permanent hair dye, it takes a little bit of work. It's a little bit more of a process. You definitely don't want to be doing anything, you know, super drastic. Does henna make your hair healthier? So this is a question I've received a lot, and the answer is yes. I have found that henna has made my hair a lot healthier. I used to bleach my hair. Bleach obviously strips your hair and makes it weaker. So my hair used to be much more prone to breakage. It used to struggle to get to, you know, a longer length. Now my hair is quite long. and it got to that length very, very easily. And I really do think that henna is a big part of that. Because henna does coat the hair, it does help it be a little bit stronger and feel a little bit healthier. Every time I do my henna, I feel like my hair feels super silky and soft afterwards. And from what I've read, henna does have a lot of conditioning properties, so it really is kind of like a conditioning treatment, which is how it's used also by a lot of people. So I definitely have found that it's made my hair healthier. It's definitely made it stronger, and I really do love how it's improved my hair. It's like night and day from how it used to be a couple years ago. All right guys, and that's it for today. I hope I answered all of your questions. If I didn't, please be sure to note them below, and I will make another video in the future answering them, or I'll answer you below. I'm so happy that I refreshed my hair. I love this color so much. The copper is just so beautiful. But let me know if you guys think for like the holidays and winter, if I should just do the classic red or if I should stick with the copper or do a mix. Let me know. All right, and that's it for today. If you liked this video, please be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It makes my day. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, do all that good stuff. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.